So I'm currently standing where a fire has been extinguished by firefighters. And this place is really close to the town of Chapet. So as you can see, the damage caused by the fire is incredible.
Well, the intensity of the fire is totally based on today's weather and the previous weather. So it's based on the amount of days since we had rain, and then the biggest factor that influences intensity is the wind.
Une fois que les pompiers sont arrivés sur place, il y a toujours une formation de quelques jours pour les intégrer à nos équipes. Il y a les formations vol pour prendre les hélicos ici. Là.
Le terrain est très différent de la France, c'est-à-dire qu'il y a énormément de grands espaces et qui sont inaccessibles par la route ou par des pistes. Et c'est vrai que nous, en fait, on a tendance à avoir beaucoup de camions à grande capacité notamment. Et en fait, on accède au feu par voie routière principalement. Et ici, les espaces sont tellement immenses et la végétation est différente et très dense qu'en fait, ici, ils font tout par hélicoptère, que ce soit la reconnaissance ou l'envoi des troupes directement sur le terrain. Donc ça nous change vraiment beaucoup. Ouais.
Donc on sait faire face, on sait comment réagir et du coup, on sait très bien comment procéder dans ces situations.
The onset of spring marks the beginning of wildfires in Canada. On April 4th, SOFFER, the Forest Fire Protection Society in Quebec, issued its first report on fire hazard in Quebec. On June 1st, 95 new fires were recorded in a single day. Numerous politicians swiftly condemned these fires as a consequence of climate change. However, Canada National Wildfire Database found on the Canada site display a graph of forest fires recorded annually since 1980 that does not show a significant increase in wildfires. The database also revealed that more than 8,000 fires occur each year, destroying an average of over 2.1 million hectares. Additionally, lightning accounts for almost 50% of all fires, but contribute to approximately 85% of the area burned each year. Even SOFFER acknowledged that making a direct link between climate change and these fires is too complex. They added that all the necessary conditions for an explosive situation were present simultaneously last week. According to some citizens of Chapet and other small villages, this year was incredibly drier with few rain to compare to the previous year where the weather was rainy and humid. Canada had to seek assistance from various countries to combat the fires that were spreading across the nation. Some individuals have speculated that certain fires were intentionally set ablaze. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith announced on Thursday, June 8, her intention to initiate a thorough investigation into the causes of wildfires in Alberta. Numerous theories regarding the potential causes of forest fires have been discussed on social media. Today, we aim to explore and engage with individuals involved in the fight against these fires. So, hey Alexa for Urban News, and I'm currently at the airport of Chapet and Chibougamau, and behind me here the commandment post of SOFFER. So SOFFER is the main organization who deal with the wildfire.
Ici, sur le complexe, on a 127 militaires actuellement qui sont basés à Mistassini. Puis on a une trentaine de pompiers de la sécurité civile française qui sont ici pour nous aider également. On attend des Espagnols vendredi, probablement 80, j'ai entendu. Plus nos équipes de gestion de la SOFFER et nos pompiers sur le terrain. On monte quasiment à 220 personnes sur ce complexe ici à Chapet, Chibougamau et Mistassini.
Bonjour, moi du coup je suis le lieutenant Emma, je suis l'officier communication des formations militaires de la sécurité civile. Donc nous on est des militaires mais mis pour emploi par le ministère de l'Intérieur français. Et donc là on a été déployés, donc ça a été une demande du président de la République Emmanuel Macron. Et donc on est avec le mécanisme civil de protection européen.
Donc actuellement, les missions qui nous sont attribuées, c'est de la surveillance sur les territoires où ont eu lieu les incendies, également le traitement de points chauds, traitement de lisières, ce qui consiste en fait à venir noyer les points où il y aura encore une potentielle reprise d'incendie. Également, on peut participer, comme on a déjà fait sur d'autres feux, à la création d'héliports au profit de la SOPFEU, afin de permettre de se déplacer sur le terrain.
So I'm currently standing where a fire had been extinguished by firefighters. And this place is really close to the town of Chappé. So as you can see, the damage caused by the fire is incredible. We can see that the top of the tree, most of them have not been burned, but mostly the ground. If you can see, it's really like ashes. And a lot of helicopters are surrounding the perimeter, probably to have a look if the fire didn't start again, because with the weather that is really dry, they didn't receive much rain, and so they keep an eye on the fire that's been extinguished.
Well, the intensity of the fire is totally based on today's weather and the previous weather. So it's based on the amount of days since we had rain, and then the biggest factor that influences intensity is the wind. The wind has the biggest impact on fire intensity and fire growth. So there's two factors really. There's the amount of moisture that's in the fuel and the wind. Those are the two factors that determine the intensity and spread of the fire.
Une fois que les pompiers sont arrivés sur place, il y a toujours une formation de quelques jours pour les intégrer à nos équipes. Il y a les formations vol pour prendre les hélicos ici, là. Je crois que les militaires ont eu 3 jours aussi de formation intensive pour venir intervenir sur les feux de forêt. Donc c'est ça, c'est toujours une adaptation. Eux sont moins habitués de dealer avec des gros feux comme ça.
Le terrain est très différent de la France, c'est-à-dire qu'il y a énormément de grands espaces et qui sont inaccessibles par la route ou par des pistes. Et c'est vrai que nous, en fait, on a tendance à avoir beaucoup de camions à grande capacité notamment. Et en fait, on accède au feu par voie routière principalement. Et ici, les espaces sont tellement immenses et la végétation est différente et très dense qu'en fait, ici, ils font tout par hélicoptère, que ce soit la reconnaissance ou l'envoi des troupes directement sur le terrain. Donc ça nous change vraiment beaucoup. Ouais.
On est entraîné à faire face à des problématiques similaires parce qu'on s'entraîne dans plein de problématiques différentes. Donc on sait faire face, on sait comment réagir. Et du coup, on sait très bien comment procéder dans ces situations.
Control or non-control has no impact on intensity. It's the other way around. The intensity has an impact on control. There's intensities that we can control and there's intensities that we can't control. So if the fire starts burning intensely, we just have to get people out of harm's way. That's all. That's the only strategy and tactic that we can use at certain times. Especially, a fire doesn't roar all day and all night. It's a diurnal thing. So normally in the morning early, the fire's quiet. There's not a lot of open flame. It's just smoke. And then as the sun warms things up and the humidity drops and the wind starts to pick up, then the fire picks up accordingly. Yeah, well, lightning is a tremendous amount of energy. And when it strikes a tree or it strikes the ground, it puts that heat energy into the ground. Now, if the ground is moist or wet, it's no problem. It won't start a fire. But if you've had enough days of drying and the level of dryness in the organic layer on the surface of the soil is at a certain parameter, then the lightning will stay in that and hold over. So sometimes if there's no rain with the lightning, it will start a fire immediately. If there's rain on top, it may be a few days before that fire actually comes through to the surface.
Talking with like burning a certain part of the land to stop the spread of the fire. How do you monitor the fire to make sure that that will not overspread?
Well, I'm not an ignition specialist, but the people that do that, they do that in a way, they use the wind. What you do is you can't really fight Mother Nature. So what you'll do is you'll kind of use the wind against the fire. So what you'll do is have the wind, you'll have a fire over here and a guard or a lake or some sort of non-flammable material here, and you will light the fire and let the wind blow it into the burn. So now you have something that you can control along that non-flammable surface, whether it be a road or a bulldoze guard or a natural feature like a wetland or a lake or something like that.
They say that we need to make sure that these kind of fire doesn't get as big as that. What would it be like the main actions to do?
I don't really know for sure. There's a lot of people a lot smarter than me that are working hard at that, doing research like the Canadian Forest Service and Natural Resources Canada and some provincial agencies. It's really hard to change the dynamic of a forest as huge as a boreal forest. On a small scale, you can maybe do things like around your home, for example, clear the black spruce away and maybe plant some white birch or get some white birch or some deciduous trees to grow there. Would be a benefit to protect on a small scale, but on a large scale, it's
hard to do.
Yeah, it's hard to do anything effectively.
So if you think that it was important that Rebel News was here to report on the story, please go over rebelfearreports.com, make a donation, help us to continue our journalism and to show you the other side of the story. Thank you.